So there's been a lot of talk about how Bernie Sanders is unelectable, how Bernie Sanders he doesn't know how to work with people and get stuff done, and he's going to lose to the Republicans. He's a socialist. He's scary. Oh, the people are afraid of socialists. They're never going to vote for a guy like that. They won't. But Bernie's unelectable. Sure, we all like his ideas. Sure, he's saying things that Democrats have been for since the New Deal. Sure, he's talking about stuff that Democrats are supposed to be rallying around, and it's supposed to be at the core of our party. Sure, but let's ignore all that because we could get someone else elected who's a little bit more like a Republican. So I went back, and guess what? In 2007, they were saying a lot of. Let's listen to what they were saying about Hillary Clinton back then.
Before Barack Obama's presidency, the Bush and Clinton families ruled the Oval Office for the preceding 25 years.
So think about that. That's what people were saying. From 1980 into 2006 or 2008, there was a Bush or a Clinton in the White House. From 1980 to 2008, there was a Bush or a Clinton in the White House. And so people were saying, enough of this. This is crazy. What are you, crazy? We can't have Hillary. Now Hillary Clinton's going to run again? Are you kidding? So that's what people forget. That's what they were saying back then, that people wanted to move. That's what Barack Obama was all about, moving forward. He was going to change things. Here, there's more to this.
At what point do the American people say, this is insane?
Not just two families.
It's time to turn the page on the Clintons and the Bushes.
Same challenge Jeb Bush has, right? Trying to introduce you to Jeb, not Bush. They're trying to introduce you to, in this case, Hillary Rodham, not Hillary Clinton.
I do think that in any calculation and discussion of this, you have to keep remembering what Obama's campaign themes were, that we're going to turn the page on the Bushes and the Clintons. We're going to change the way Washington does business.
So that's what they were saying back then, that how can people wanted to change. People want change. Guess what? People still want that change. People still want that change, which is why everybody and their sister voted for Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire. Reagan Democrats, young people, women, young women, middle-aged women. The only people who didn't vote for him were the wealthy and senior citizens. Bernie Sanders, I'm talking about. So people still want change. This is still something, and people forget what they were saying about Hillary Clinton. She was the weak candidate. We got more.
Before Barack Obama's presidency.
But her top Democratic rivals then raised the issue of electability.
A lot of Democrats are concerned about that as to whether you can win a general election.
I think what people who are concerned about electability should be looking at is
the fact of the matter is that my colleague from New York, Senator Clinton, they're 50% of the American public and say they're not going to vote for him. I'm not saying anything that people don't know already.
That's Christopher Dodd on stage at a Democratic debate saying 50% of the American public aren't going to vote for you. That's something I'm not saying. We all know this. Where did all that go? There's more. There's more.
New CNN ORC poll shows more people view her unfavorably than at any point since 2001.
Senator, they may actually want to run against you, and that's the reason they keep bringing you up.
Part of the reason that Republicans, I think, are obsessed with you, Hillary, is because that's a fight they're very comfortable having.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Barack Obama was saying that. Christopher Dodd was saying that. That guy who cheated on his wife was saying that. Isn't that interesting? The stuff that they're saying, how come no one's bringing that up? Hey, you're the one. You're the flawed candidate, Hillary. You were flawed in 2007. You're flawed in 2015, 16. Why are you not flawed? Why don't you have those same flaws you had back then? This was all of them saying this about her. This was the news media saying this. This is the candidates. This is John Edwards. This is Christopher Dodd. This is Barack Obama, all saying to Hillary Clinton that you're unelectable. Half the country has had enough of you, and you'll never get more than 50. There it is, right there. Here we go. There's more to this.
First she said this, 5 seconds later, this. Unless I missed something, Senator Clinton said two different things in the course of about 2 minutes.
I can't tell whether she was for it or against it.
So that was a big rub against her back then, too. Not only like, hey, you're old, your history, we need to turn the page, we need to move forward. Not only all that, half the country knows enough about you. They hate you. They'll never vote. Not only that, but now here's the other criticism. She was trying to be on every side of every issue. She tries to be, well, and they called her out for it. You don't think that's going to happen again? Here, guess who's doing it now?
You can't be for something or take credit for an administration and 35 years of experience, and then when you run for president, suggest somehow that you didn't really mean what you said back then.
So that's Barack Obama calling her out for that in 2007. For being on all sides of the issue, flip-flopping. And, well, I guess people are getting a taste of that again, because here's the kind of stuff she's doing now.
You know, I get accused of being kind of moderate and center. I plead guilty.
Oh, my God.
Just for the record, are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a progressive.
I think she's a flip-flopper. So that's what they were saying about her back then. That's what they're saying about her now. Watch.
And on trade, Clinton was a champion for the Pacific Rim Agreement.
You even called it the gold standard.
Hillary Clinton advocated for President Obama's trade deal.
We are making progress toward finalizing a far-reaching new trade agreement called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The so-called TPP will lower barriers, raise standards, and drive long-term growth across the region.
Now, suddenly last week, you're against it.
Wow.
It's doing it again for the TPP. So her Democratic rivals were on her tactic of being on every side of every issue back in 2007. And now when we pointed out, we're dreamers. We're not realists. What were they back then? What were those people back then? Were they not realists? Because they were supporting a black guy with a Muslim name to be our president. They weren't dreamers. The whole country was ready. They're ready now again. In fact, they criticized Hillary Clinton was such a flawed candidate back then. It was so obvious that she tried to be on every side of like she's doing now. She's trying to pretend that she's a progressive. My point of doing all this is that she's the way more flawed candidate. And so this stuff that people are saying about Bernie Sanders, people who are supporting Hillary out of fear, I just want to give you what they were saying back in 2007 about her, and now they're starting to, and the same thing's happening again. And let's remember what Barack Obama said about her in 2007.
Hillary Clinton, she'll say anything and change nothing. It's time to turn the page.
That's Barack Obama's ad from 2007. She'll say anything to get elected and change nothing. Bernie Sanders could burn that same ad. Bernie Sanders could run that same ad today, and I bet he will. So I don't want to make this a bashing Hillary Clinton show, but I just want to point out to people you're 100% wrong. And if what you're doing is voting for Hillary because you are afraid of a Ted Cruz or a Donald Trump presidency, you're making a huge mistake. Let's remember the last time we elected a Democratic socialist, they had to invent term limits. That's how popular he was. People love Bernie Sanders' ideas, and the more they learn about him, the more they like him. His numbers are going up, not down. Hillary Clinton's are going down.